In that order. Of course, we have a timer, and we've got the lights that we've had for years now. Yellow means you have 1 minute to go. You'll have 3 minutes to answer each question. 3 minutes to the maximum. Red, you're out of time. Be quiet, please. And I guarantee you my mic works a lot better than yours. So please try to work with us. We have a lot of questions. And I'm sure somebody wants to go home and have another cocktail if they don't get it far over here. So do the candidates all understand the format? Great, great. Let's start the process here. Let's start out with Gino. You want to give your opening remarks, please? Tell us about yourself, what your campaign is all about.
Where's my mic person?
There she goes.
Hey, try to trick me.
Good evening. This works? Yes. So my name is Gino Blackwell, and I'm running for City Council. And the first thing I'd like to say is that this is a great place to live. It's a safe and beautiful community. I believe that the safety comes from the organizations that the city put in place, the city staff for starters, the public works, the water and sewer department, police and fire. They all contribute to the feeling we get living here. And I'd like to see the prosperity in the area come back like it was years ago. And let's see, I've been a volunteer with Angels Camp Police Department for over 2 years, and I've really come to appreciate everything they do for the community, and that applies to the staff as well, and water and sewer and fire. And actually, I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge them with a little bit of applause, if you don't mind. And if I'm elected to City Council, I'll strive to bring fiscal responsibility to Angels Camp without impairing our infrastructure in any way. Thank you.
Thank you. George, your opening remarks, please.
Hi, my name is George Fry. My name is George Fry. I've been coming to this county since 1968, right after graduation from college. I've lived in the county over 35 years. I have been elected to 2 different school boards. I've been involved in organizations throughout the county and the city for the last 35 years. I bring a wealth of experience. I'm a fiscal conservative. I've been studying the budgets for many years, and we're in the toughest times we've ever been, not only here locally, but statewide and nationally. I'm a retired state parole agent from the California Youth Authority. I have an undergraduate degree in sociology from the University of Guam. I grew up on the island of Guam in the South Pacific. My dad worked for the U.S. Navy as a civilian. I have a master's degree in urban and rural land use planning from Cal. Go Cal tonight in the big game with USC. I will work tirelessly for this city. I've lived in the city over 22 years. I've been attending city council meetings off and on since 1994, when I retired from the California Police Authority. I look forward to hopefully having quarterly town hall meetings where people will have the opportunity to come and not just get 3 minutes to talk to council members, but get as much time as necessary and get the needed feedback. I too was at the festival this weekend. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. I'm a big person on volunteerism, and I was just in total awe of the amount of volunteerism that went on with this 3-day festival. The play was outstanding. Ron Powers, who helped John Bradley write the book, Flags of Our Fathers, which was a bestseller in New York, bestsellers list, was here for the weekend. It was an incredible experience, and I'm looking forward to next year's. I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
Thank four other people that are up here that stand ready to serve you as city council members. And thank you each for willing to do that. It's kind of impressive to me to see this kind of a turnout of individuals to step forward to serve on the council. In the 3 minutes, I'd like to talk about a couple of personal accomplishments of mine during my time on the city council. The first pertains to the city budget and some of the issues that we're facing, and the second has to do with our water rates. Under city expenses, right now the city council is facing a shortfall of $1 million, and I'll repeat that, $1 million shortfall of revenues versus budgeted expense. Last year, the council had a shortfall of $600,000, but decided unanimously to draw down our city reserves by $600,000 in order to cover that. Is that really at the time?
Come on, 1 minute.
And this year, we're working very hard towards covering that $1 million shortfall. It's going to involve lots of challenges for the council, the city staff, and the public. But I believe the city council is up to it. The second item I'd like to talk momentarily about is our water rates. Under my direction and detailed knowledge, we have been able to reduce our water rates last fall by $128 per family. We stopped the forward impetus on a $1.5 million water filter, and I just want to point those kinds of specific things that we're doing on our water and wastewater rates. There will be additional water rate reductions in the future. And thank you very much for paying attention to my presentation. Did I get the red one?
I believe all the people here showed up as all kinds of faces, supporters, everyone here. Anyway, a little about myself. I'm a fourth generation here. I've lived here all my life. I'm here for the long haul. I attended Red Heart High School and Mark Twain Elementary School. I just see some of my old teachers here. My kids, all three of my kids, I have two of them at Red Heart High School, one at Mark Twain, and my wife is here tonight. I want everybody to know here that I'm here to support the whole city as one. The one thing I'd like to see on the council, and nothing against the council of this town, but I'd like to see an open diversity. I want to see somebody there to represent the working person and the person that still has a family in this town, because there's an awful lot of those still here. I'll do the best job I can do for you. And with that, it will be a privilege if elected to serve, and I would sure appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Steve McHugh, and I would also like to echo thank you to the neighbors and the residents of Angels Camp coming out tonight in Aqua, giving us this opportunity. 4 years ago, the city residents of this town, this great little town, decided that they had enough of the status quo. And against insurmountable odds, Jack Lynch was elected. 2 years later, they succeeded in electing Craig Turco. And then the plan was finished when Rick Downey was elected in 2009. And what the plan was of this residents, the way I interpreted it, was they wanted a city council, a city council that managed the city administrator and the staff of this city as compared to the way it had been run for the 9.5 years that I've been here, and for a much longer time before I got here. Now you have that. In 1 year, for those people who have stayed informed and have paid attention, you have a city council that is managing this city and trying to clean up a very, very big financial mess with outrageous compensation and benefit packages that nobody can sustain. The same thing that you folks are reading about in the state and the federal government. And because Rick Downey's personal responsibilities have not allowed him to run again, I would like to compliment the momentum of this city council to follow through with the job that they've taken on and the job that you folks elected it to. These three politicians that they've been described as didn't beat their opponents. The city residents decided that they wanted to go in this direction, and they have. One of the things that ignited, I feel, this change was about a year after I served on the planning commission for 2003 and 2006, and about a year after I started going to city council meetings because it was an overlapping responsibility. And we were sort of naive thinking, we and Mr. Lynch and I met each other at city council meetings. We were naive in thinking that they were sincere about us wanting to participate. Well, after a short amount of time, we were experiencing the same thing. We would ask questions, and we would get the canned answer, we'd get back to you. They never got back to us. So, one time, I thought they were going to discourage us, but one time there was a little memo at a city council meeting with a policy that speaking in public at city council meeting was no longer a right. It was going to be something that the city council was going to determine. 1 month later, I'm sure under the advice of the city attorney, because Mr. Lynch and I challenged that, there was a new directive, and that we're all welcome to speak at public. This was advertised on TV and in the paper, and it started the change that this city needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. There are more chairs on this side. If somebody wants to sit down, need a seat. Okay, here goes the first questions. Like I said before, Gina will be the first one to speak, then George, Scott, Stuart, Steve. First question is, do you think a small town like Angels Camp needs its own police department? Gina.
Yes, I do. The alternative is to go to the sheriff's department, which operates out of San Andreas. They have limited staff in town at any given time of the day or night. The police force has 1 or 2 people on duty every hour of the week. And that's something that you can't replace. It's very valuable. And my answer is yes.
Thank you. George.
I'm in favor of disbanding the police department. That may not make me popular, but I think it's the most fiscally responsible thing to do. I, myself, am retired law enforcement. I've worked from the very top with FBI all the way down to local policing departments and municipalities in California before I retired. The budget for the police department in Angels Camp is $1.367 million a year. There are many municipalities in the valley and in Northern California that are contracting with the counties for the police services. Let's not kid ourselves. We see deputies driving through this town 24/7. We do not need a duplication of law enforcement services. We can contract with the county for those services. Gary Kuntz is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for over 20 years. He's the sheriff-elect. I've been talking with him for the past several weeks about that possibility. And I suspect that we probably could do it for somewhere around, and don't hold me to it, I'm saying around $350,000 a year. That means that we will save over $1 million and get our city in the black. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack?
My response is that, as in any question of that type, you've got to know some facts. First of all, I think the council at this point in time is very satisfied with the effectiveness of our law enforcement and our fire service, which is closely related to the city. We feel secure here. It's completely under our control. After I say that, I have lived in cities where they have contracted with the county to supply a sheriff's protection in those cities, and it has worked well. So a lot depends on the way you go. At this point in time, I personally do not have confidence in our county to deliver the kind of services that are to pass the word to our citizens, to our police department. It's exorbitant, outrageous charge. We are already paying property tax to the county, and they should be providing that service. They did provide that service up until approximately 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden they have now started to charge. I feel at this point in time, I'll sum it up, stay with our police department, but keep our options open. Thank you.
My answer to that is no. Oh my God, no. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have to have a chief of police to be an incorporated city? We don't? Okay, that's the one I understand that we do. So we turned our police department over to the county. Now we're below the county, just like we are with the statute. So then here, down the road in 2 or 3 years, we want to start our police force up again. Okay? So now we have to buy cars, we have to find new police officers, we have to start all over again. So simply said, no. This police department, as far as I'm concerned, is a flying job. They're here when we need them. They're in town. I was in Mountain Ranch today, put up on Swiss Ranch Road. I had a sheriff's deputy up there for a little problem I had. When he got there, he was going to copper office. So what does that tell you? So when I call for a police officer, he's going to come from Mountain Ranch, or he's going to come from Milton, or copper office. This is a good police force here, and I back him 100%. So my answer to that is no. We'll keep this police force alive.
Well, this question has been going around town for a couple of weeks, so I had some input from some of the residents already. I don't think it's a question that the city council gets to really answer by themselves. I think something this important is going to take the input from a couple of public meetings and get input from the residents of town. What I will say, what I've learned is that the response time, if you're lucky with the sheriff's department, is somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour. And I think we've become very, very comfortable with the response time of our city police force. One of the things that's compounded it as a budget problem is, once again, we had the city administrator throwing money around like it was his, and we were paying the police chief $185,000 a year. So consequently, we're going to have to look at the police department meeting us halfway to get things back into a sensible, sustainable situation where we can protect their job. I think they overall done a great job. It's a shame the interim chief right now was bypassed at the time to become the police chief, and he's doing a great job. The morale of the police department has never been better. And here we had a qualified person on staff, and we went outside to get somebody that did not work out for us. So, you folks are going to have to say in this, but right now, we have to address the monetary problems and what it's costing us, but I think we can work through it and sustain the security and the response time that we've become accustomed to. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, and George will start this one. What do you think about the Load Hotel and the time that it is taking to bring it up to code and to public safety? The Load Hotel, by the way, is a small blue hotel right across from the visitor center.
I think it's taken an exorbitant amount of time. It's taken a lot of patience by the city council. They should have never been allowed to go on for that long. They should have laid down the law very firmly in the very beginning and got the person to step up and take care of the safety hazards, the concrete that needed to be poured, the walls that needed to be shored up. All of it took far too long, and it didn't seem like the owner of the Load Hotel was really interested in carrying forth his responsibility to our fine city. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Load Hotel. While I was on the city council, that was before the city council, about every other meeting. And we did succeed, finally, in securing that building. As you recall, city council had the front porch removed, so it wasn't overhanging the sidewalk. The interior was reinforced, and our engineers have declared that that building now is safe. Once it's to that condition, there's very little that a city council can do to a privately owned facility to force a building owner to develop it, as he has told us that he plans to do. But at this point in time, that building is safe, and the public needn't be concerned that it's going to collapse. Those are my comments. Beyond that, we're going to have to await developments from the owner of the facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Stuart?
One thing that I think we need to look at there is, and Jack just brought this up, is that's a privately owned building. So the one thing that we can do within the city is to make that building safe. But how do we push somebody without getting money to fix something they can't fix? So it's pretty much it's up to code now. It's safe. If we have to wait the grant leadership team comes along, I think there's some grants for city buildings downtown. Maybe when that comes along, some of that money can go towards that building. Thank you.
Steve?
In the scope of things, I don't really think this was a big problem. Surely, you could have pushed it along a little quicker, but, I think it's kind of terrific that if you show a little compassion and sensitivity to somebody's personal problems. It has been rectified. the economy and the lack of the economy, kind of solidifies what a lot of people are going through. So it is a safe situation now, and I couldn't find fault with them giving this gentleman a little more time than I would have given. But in the long run, it didn't hurt anybody really.
Okay, and the wrap up of this question will be Gina. Can you please turn off your cell phone from my vibrator or whatever, please? Thank you.
So the Load Hotel, I was around for most of the city council meetings where it was discussed. And yes, it took way too long, disgustingly long, just to get the porch removed in the front. And once that was achieved, there hasn't been much of anything done to the building. In my opinion, it's still an eyesore downtown. And Jack mentioned we can't do anything to force the owner to improve it. If he hasn't applied for a grant already, he's not going to get any grant money to do it. So that's it.
Thank you. The third question Jack will start out on. Do you think that the city of Angels Camp should allow big box stores into the city limits? Jack?
Repeat that question, please.
Do you think that the city of Angels Camp should allow big box stores within the city limits?
Okay, those of you that have followed this discussion will know that on tomorrow night's City Council agenda, there's going to be a public hearing on a proposal that's gone through the Planning Commission and came early on to the City Council. It'll be a public hearing on accepting a variance in our code that would allow a large store. This store would be up to, the way it stands right now, proposed up to 80,000 square feet. And some would say that's too small, others would say it's too large. There'll be lots of discussion tomorrow night. Please come to the public hearing. Some would say that's much too big. To give you an idea of what does 80,000 square feet look like, if you're familiar with Mervyn's in Sonora, they advertise that store has 62,000 square feet. So the proposal before the city council is to allow up to 80,000 square feet. If you know anything about the discussion, big box stores will go 120, 150, 200,000 square feet. So this is a proposal that's gone through the mill, you might say, and come forward with a proposal of 80,000. That is not to say that that will be adopted. If people want it smaller than that or larger than that, this will be your opportunity to speak up. The city council endeavors to be open and respectful of all opinions. So if you have opinions, please come and express them. At this point in time, the answer to that, the city will have some type of ordinance in place that will at least require that a proposal come before the planning commission and the city council. Up until this point, we're absolutely unprotected. Anybody can come in and do anything. So the idea is to get that in place. It could be refined in terms of square footage. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Stuart, please.
The short and sweet answer to that, in my view, is yes. And control. I would want to see Super Walmart come in here, but I would like to see a place where I could go buy a set of shoes. Don't get me wrong, Turners are here tonight, and in the morning, they're great. I buy my shoes, I buy pants from them, I buy shirts from them. But they're the only clothing store in town. So, I have children here in town we have to go to Sonora to buy them clothes. Okay, or we go to Modesto to buy them clothes, we go to Stockton to buy them clothes. Well, what do we do when we go there? Then we have dinner. Wouldn't it be nice to have a Mervyn's or some kind of little store over here where we could buy shoes, underpants and stuff, and then eat dinner here in town? So, along with that, maybe once that store gets here, there's a restaurant going here. Yeah, maybe an Applebee's, maybe, what's the macaroni grill? And then, when we stay in town, the sales tax stays in town. Okay? So, again, I have 3 children here. I don't want to see them all leave. I know maybe 1 or 2 of them will, but if there's no jobs, that's going to create jobs. So, redevelopment, that's a pretty strong word, and maybe that's something that we ought to think about. Thank you.
Once again, I feel this is a large issue that is going to take a lot of input from everybody in this town. And I think only the residents of Angels Camp should be the people making this decision. It is very well known that the rest of the county thinks that 49 and 4 should be the hub for such a store. But just to play the devil's advocate, if we were to develop it right here in this town, the integrity of Arnold, Murphy's, San Andreas, Copper Rock will stay the same. But the way of life that we have is going to be affected. It's going to be affected financially. It's going to be affected aesthetically. It comes down to wants or needs, and I think the city residents should make that decision. I happen to get my underwear twice a year from my grandchildren. It's not really and for me, I think the input is important. I don't think it's something that we're going to have to address in the near future, because the economic base of this county, from what I can see, is not going to support a decision like that in the near future. But along the lines, we have to protect the integrity and the lifestyle that sometimes people take for granted, and it's going to be affected where the rest of the county is not going to be. So when and if it becomes relevant, then there should be a large voice for how you want your city to look down the line. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. I'm sorry.
I don't know if anybody here saw the article in the San Francisco Chronicle a couple of weeks back. It talked about big box stores and what they're doing to downsize and reach out to communities. They talked about stores the size of Trader Joe's. Probably everybody is familiar with Trader Joe's at the store. I think that would be a good venue for Angels Camp. As Jack says, they're not huge stores. They're bigger than average, but it would fit in. The only question is, where do we do it in our city limits? There's not much city limits that's available. But I think it's a viable option to work with.
Thank you. George.
As a land use planner, having worked in land use planning for many years, and my education in land use planning, there is a place for big box stores. In this community, I think that it should be around 80,000 square feet. I've been talking with Larry Cook for the last year in Tuolumne County. He was hired by the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors as the Economic Development Director. And we've been talking about how we could possibly expand and have not only look at smaller big box stores. And there is a possible location across from the Angels Inn, and the old Percos, and that big lot out there. There's, I think, 17 acres or something. And I am adamant about the architecture, maintaining the aesthetically pleasing surrounding area that we have here. I would not want to see anything close to the downtown historic area in that 2-block area. I could see the expansion being out on that end. And I think that a pretty good job has been done in terms of blending, although it's been kind of controversial, the McDonald's building in terms of it being as aesthetically pleasing as a large corporation like that is willing to do. I would like to see something on the line of an 80,000 square foot park here and have it be the hub, and it would draw people from Andover County and from Tuolumne County. I went to Kohl's last week because my wife likes to window shop. And Kohl's is a nice store, but it's expensive. And we need something on the lines of property. And I would hope that at some point, when the economy picks up, that we will be able to do that. And hopefully deal with the trunk line in terms of infrastructure as well in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Gino, can I go on to the next question? Thank you. Stuart, what is your opinion about the water and wastewater in Angels Camp? And do you think that there should be an audit on actually what it takes to produce a gallon of water? Okay. Tell us about what you think about the wastewater and the water system here in town. And do you think an audit should be done to know what it actually takes to produce that 1 gallon of water from the time it comes out of your tap to the time it goes down your sink?
Okay, that's a question, Mark.
I didn't write this.
Okay. I took a tour of the sewer plant and the local water plant, and I spent the whole day out there with Garrett and the employees. They took me through the whole thing. I gotta take my hat off to the employees. They do a heck of a job in both of those facilities. And it's pretty important to have clean water and a place for the sewer to go. As far as being audited, I don't know that we need to be audited. I would have to say that they could probably tell us what it costs us for a gallon of water. Okay, so I don't think we would need a concurrent audit on that. I do think there are some, eventually some upgrades we need to do. One thing that Jack mentioned earlier, we're going to put another filter in the water plant, and because of budget constraints, we cut back on that. So if we did have a bad tank of water for a day, we have to run through those 3 filters to feed the city. So that's something I think we ought to look at in the future, is put in that 4th filter. Another thing that I spoke with those gentlemen about that day was another water tank up there eventually. So we have a backup system. So the short and sweet is no, I don't think we need an audit. But I do think that we need to look at our water and sewer rates closely. And that's one thing that if elected, I'll do. I looked into it a little bit as it is. See why they're high. There's a lot of state mandates. There's a lot of hidden costs that we as citizens don't see. You gotta remember, I'm also a ratepayer. So those are definitely just as well as anybody else. Thank you.
09010 budget for the City of Angels Camp was $17,400,000. When you're talking about those kind of figures, an audit in any department is a necessity to run a business or run a government. We have $6 million in our water fund right now, and we have $1.5 million in our waste fund. Somewhere along the line, the rates were inflated to be able to occur this kind of balance. And the way it was done was, budget items were put in the wastewater budget, attorney's fees, city administrators' salaries, to where the budget was inflated, and then the formula to come to water rates is based on the size of that budget. Mr. Lynch mentioned a while ago that rates should come down. There might even be a chance of a refund because you can only have a certain ceiling in excess of certain funds. So that's one thing. But this is again poor management. At the last city council meeting, Mayor Lynch addressed us and told us that for the month of September, our sewage capacity was roughly 300,000 gallons a day. That's what we were running. Our sewer plant capacity is 1,500,000 gallons a day. They've perpetuated their own existence by building this stuff for way more than what we need, and trying to tell us 2 or 3 years ago that the City of Angels was going to have 16,000 to 20,000 people, residents. So now we've overbuilt at the price of the residents, and the people that I've met walking these streets cannot afford to keep going along with these rates. And there's relief coming.
Okay. Our water and sewer are separate items. I worked at Utah Power Authority. Does everybody know what that is? Okay. That's where our water comes from. It comes down the mountain and it flows and the pipes to Angels Camp and through Murphy's. Our water rates in the City of Angels are not subsidized like they are in the county. That's why we have the highest rates for water. They provide a subsidy on undeveloped property taxes to the county residents. I've talked with Garrett at the water department, and I will go on their tour probably next week. And I think they're doing a great job in providing water, and what the costs are is what they are. And I would certainly want to look at that. I feel the residents that have an extremely limited budget probably find it a hardship to pay the water costs, and that needs to be addressed. And on to the sewer project. I know that the filter that was voted down by the council was not necessary at this time. It was based on future projections of population, which we didn't achieve here. So I was glad to see the city vote that down. And we will continue on to look at both water and sewer. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Last year, starting with the first meeting of the City Council in July, I hammered away at reducing water rates. I looked over my shoulder and there was nobody helping me. I went to every City Council meeting, hammering away at the reduction of water rates until September, when the city council and the floor above reduced the water rates $10.56. And I thanked them for that evening. But I said it's not enough. We have over $6 million in water reserve surplus. If we don't have a water plan in place, I can tell you, you can hire 1,000 attorneys for the city. But if you don't have a water plan in place, you're marking that money that's in that surplus. The state of California can come in and take it away. So I'm adamant about getting an updated water plan. The last water plan was in 2002. I too have toured the water treatment plant and the sewer treatment plant. Not once, but twice, several weeks ago. I wanted to know exactly what was going on. Jack was absolutely right about the fact that we didn't need to put a filter. I never believed that we needed it all along. And it saved us millions of dollars. The water rates have been projected, as I understand it, based on projections for increase in homes in our lovely little town. And that didn't happen. And so I am adamant about reducing those water rates a lot. And if I'm elected, I will work tirelessly to see that is accomplished. And that one of the things that disturbed me after the vote in September was not the fact that the city council took the vote, but the fact that these people who are on fixed incomes, who are retired, and it's but for the grace of God go I, that some of us are more fortunate. And the small little trailer park across from Middleton's, the owner of that trailer park did not pass that reduction on to those poor folks. And that's a sad commentary. We all live in this community. No matter where we are, whether we're in Purdyville or we're in Angels Oaks or we're in Greenhorn or Stelky Park, we're all residents of Angels Camp. And that's the reason why I retired to this area. This is the reason why I came here in August of 1968. Thank you. You can tell from the comments of all the people, all the candidates up here, that they're very concerned, and they have a lot of information about water rates and the condition of our water plant and our sewer plant. The question was, should we have an audit? I am absolutely convinced that we need an audit, because when I started to delve into it, I found, unfortunately, that our city operating personnel were not following best practices. And further than that, all staff and engineers included were absolutely convinced, and as well as the Department of Public Health, that we had, and we were reporting as a city, exceedances of our permits. We were reporting over 2.3 million gallons of production in our water plant. And lo and behold, when I started, I'm a graduate engineer, started to look at how much water was billed, how much water actually went to meters. I took the time to talk to Utica Power. How much water were you delivering to the city? Lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, I discovered that we were, quote-unquote, producing 25% more water units than we were receiving or that we were billing. And as a result of that, I set about challenging it, and it was a challenge, because throughout the whole city staff and our engineer, they all maintained we needed that fourth filter. It was planned since 2003, but lo and behold, it was discovered finally, as a result of my persistence, that we had inaccurate meter readings that were giving us bad readings. And now we have corrected that,
And listen to this, rather than having exceedance of 2.1 million, we have a permit for 2 million. Right now, we're in the height of our summer, we're running at 1.3, 1.4 million gallons. I have brought to that council engineering expertise, a lifetime of working in plants where we pump lots of water around and we go to wastewater. I know the numbers, and there was something wrong here. And I'm very proud to have discovered it and convinced even the Department of Public Health that we did not need that filter. And right now, we have plenty of capacity. And one other gentleman correctly commented about how we are now going to accurately measure our water, sewer water coming into our sewer plant. We just started last week with a brand new meter, so we know how many gallons are coming into that. So technical details is my forte, and I plan to continue doing that.
Steve, this is questions for you to start with. Do you believe a small town like Angels Camp actually needs 3 firehouses?
Well, that's the first time that I've heard that we have a problem with 3 firehouses. I think we have a remarkable situation here. We have 22 on-call firemen that only get paid when they work. We've got 4 revolving assistant fire chiefs. In my 9.5 years here, I have not experienced one situation where anybody was in a perilous position of not being serviced. Originally, there was supposed to be a 4th fire station built at the end of Greenhorn Creek Boulevard. So it's a surprise to me, this question. I have no knowledge of we're being over capacity with firemen. Thank you.
Okay.
I never realized we had 3 fire stations. But the CDF is the 3rd one, and you don't think of them because they're hidden back behind the old schoolhouse. At least they were. They're now located over by the police station temporarily, while they plan to build a new fire station. Pending through. I don't think the CAL FIRE and New Maloney's are much of a cost to the city, if any. They occupy space. They provide service. I know CAL FIRE is on the run quite a lot from the police station because I see them coming forward all the time. So I don't have a problem with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The preliminary budget for 2010-2011 for our Angels Camp Fire Department is $306,000. I don't know whether that's too much or too little. I'm a former volunteer fire person, and we haven't passed the rail already, and we have to wait on for 9 years, and operated out of the station, we have to wait on this. And fire protection is very, very important. To answer the question, I'm not sure at this point whether there's a need for reduction. I think they all have different areas that they cover, and they have their own expenses to cover that. And I would like to study that issue more before I give a stronger opinion. Thank you.
Actually, if you count the fire stations, we have 4 inside the city limits. The city has 2 fire stations, one at the lower end of the city, the other one adjacent to the police. Then in addition, we have CAL FIRE next to the schoolhouse, and we have multiple Maloney's that serves outside. So we actually have 4 fire stations inside the city limits. Unbelievable. We're extremely well covered, and there is excellent cooperation and response, backup response amongst them. I think we're blessed with that, and I don't have anything in the way of any negatives to say about it. It's just amazing surprise and for us to get that kind of coverage.
Stuart?
My answer to this, if we need to get notified from, would be no. As Jack said there, Elton Maloney's covers the outlying areas. These firemen can be like the policemen. When we need them, they're there. They come. I had them in my house tonight. By God, I'm glad to see them. So as far as doing away with fire departments, I can't, unless I really studied it, you show me where it was costing us a whole bunch of money. These guys are hard workers, they do fundraisers. I've been going to fire Sundays since I was a little kid. So they needed the fire department, so. No, my answer to that would be no. I think the fire department and more fire than we have in this time.
Thank you. Gino, how familiar are you with the Brown Act? And do you actually have a copy of it?
I'm about as unfamiliar as you can be with the Brown Act. I know what it is. It's a government policy that you have to incorporate. If I'm elected, I know I will learn a lot more about it. Because I'll have to comply with it, and I have no copy.
Thank you. George?
I worked in county government for 9 years. I've been elected to 2 school boards, and in all 3 of those arenas, we use the Edmund G. Brown Act. And it's the procedures for conducting public meetings, and along with that, notification of where the meeting is going to be held, what time the meeting is going to be held, and that in the case of the city council, if 3 members or more are going to get together, then it has to be announced as to where they're going to meet, or what they're going to do. There has to be an agenda prepared, and then that agenda has to say whether there's going to be any action items. Those are just some of the things. I've been working with the Brown Act for over 25 years, and so I'm pretty familiar with it. Thank you.
Thank you. George, just so you know, it has nothing to do with Edmund G. Brown, by the way.
I know about the Brown Act. I don't have a copy with me, but I've got a copy at home, and I've looked at it many, many times. Beyond the Brown Act, there's another aspect to it. It really controls the city, county, and how we conduct our meetings and proper notification of it. The whole thrust of it is to make sure that the public knows everything that's going on in city, in our case, in our city business. Very, very important principle. But there are other parts of the Brown Act which are very important, and that is the interpretation. So when you go into the Brown Act, document itself is kind of straightforward. But then all the interpretations, different situations that have come up, knowing that and understanding some of that minutia is quite important. The Brown Act was very important. It's something that Steve Pugh made reference to. Back in 2005, when I was attending city council meetings, I was presented with a document that basically said speaking before the city council is a privilege, and that the city council had the right to control it. I immediately went to the Brown Act and again discovered That's not what the Brown Act says about the rights of the citizens. The rights of the citizens as spelled out in the Brown Act is that we elect and control the city council. That's spelled out in the Brown Act, not the other way around. The council doesn't tell the citizens what you can do and not do when you approach the council. It's wrong. So as a result of activities of my part and also Steve, we completely challenged that and had the city council and the city attorney rewrite it to state very clearly that we had a right and that the council had an obligation to listen to what we had to say, that they weren't extending any special privilege to us. That's one of the reasons that it kind of inspired me to get involved with city government in our city, because I objected to that. But fortunately, the Brown Act in that case gave me quite a bit of encouragement. I'll continue it one moment longer. The Brown Act was passed by the state legislature. Very, very restrictive rules and regulations about city and county government. Believe it or not, it does not apply to our state legislature, either the Senate or the Assembly. They're above that, and they're running all they want. But we are going to very exclusive control.
Thank you, Stuart.
So the question was, how familiar are you with the Brown Act?
That answers your question, thank you.
Look at it, overlook it. I also know that there's a tutorial to the Secretary of State have online that, if elected, I'll be doing the tutorial. So I'm familiar with it. Thank you.
Well, as Jackie alluded to, we've experienced it firsthand, and Jack's explanation is just another example of how detailed we and the city council people now are addressing and delving into getting the facts about stuff. This evening, I only brought four extra copies of what Jack and I experienced back in August of 2005. And at any time this evening, if anybody would like to take a look at one and read the original statement about it not being a right any longer, and then the correction a month later, I would be happy to show it to them. But I think it even goes a little further. It sort of protects our Second Amendment in allowing us to be able to speak based on the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to open it up to your questions. I'm asking that only residents of Angels Camp please come up with your questions. Keep it simple. So, anybody have any questions?
If elected, what would you do with the sewer line on Finnegan Road, the rerouting?
The question was, on Finnegan, there is an odor coming out of the sewers over there. What would you do about repairing that system?
I haven't walked down Finnegan to experience it myself, but I believe that it's certainly there and needs to be dealt with. There is a plan drawn to fix it by putting in a pipe over the creek, which would be expensive to do. But I think we need to find a way to do it, even with the budget constraints.
I've been down there several times. I've smelled the odor. At the infrastructure meeting this past Friday morning, there was a continuing discussion that's been going on at every infrastructure meeting for the forever, it seems like. And there is a plan to fix it, like Gino was saying, put a pipe across the creek there. There also at the meeting was a discussion on some possibility of some other things that could be done. And in fact, a gentleman that has asked the question is an engineer and is on the planning commission here in our city. And he has some ideas that he said at the infrastructure meeting this past Friday that he would like to get together with Garrett and John Kitchell to determine what could be done. Thank you.
During the time that I've been on the council, for the first 2 years, I was assigned to call and safety services. I didn't have any direct involvement with facilities and infrastructure. The past 2 years, being mayor, the mayor is an individual that appoints and designates people to attend to the facilities, infrastructure, safety services, or personnel and finance. So I appointed myself to facilities and infrastructure because of my interest in the water and sewer issue in the city. And I became very aware of the odor of Finnegan Lane. I knew that before I was on the council, but I walked Finnegan Lane and smelled the odor. At this point in time, we have now finally got 3 alternatives, with detailed plans, with rough estimates of the costs of remedying it. And the city council has selected one of those, and approximately the estimate is $850 to $1 million to, as the gentleman just said, run a pipe across the creek and get rid of what's called an inverted siphon. The way it is now is a pipe that goes underneath the creek and then comes back up. It's sort of like in the sink. There's a drainage under your sink that blocks the odors from coming back in. However, in our case, with that water being maintained in there, as soon as the pump turns on and starts to send loose sewage down, it vents the odors out through all the manholes all the way down Finnegan Lane, and people are experiencing that. The idea is to put it as a straight feed, a gravity feed, eliminating that inverted siphon. The cost roughly $1 million. So the question now is, we have a plan, then where do we get the $1 million? And that's going to be the challenge of the city council. How do we get that $1 million? The council, facilities infrastructure, and the council are both dedicated to fixing the problem. We now have it identified. We now have preliminary engineering. Now we got to get the money. Anybody have any ideas on how we get the money? The council would just welcome it. Thanks.
Thank you, Stuart.
The short and simple answer is fix it. As Jack says, it's an expensive thing to fix. But what we're behind about mechanics, as you know, so I'm kind of frustrated. I drive down there, I can smell it. And I don't know, but I would have to say, if we don't get that fixed sooner or later, we may be entertaining a lawsuit. Who knows? So it's something we need to take a long, hard look at and get fixed as soon as possible. Where that money comes from? Anybody have any ideas? It's something that they've elected.
Water reserve. It's got $6 million.
Let's not have any questions from the floor. Back to the second, please. Stuart, can you finish?
Okay. So anyway, that's where it's going to be. That's something we need to fix, so we have to work together as a group to fix it.
Steve?
The gentleman that asked the question, are you living on Finnegan Lane?
No, no flat.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't get this question from John Broder. John, I think was ignored for too long until they moved off center and finally got to these 3 plans. That was another example of the public not being respected and no response from the city administrator and and way too long dragging it out. I put a little thought into this. If it had been addressed sooner, and when we had $2.7 million in the general fund, we could have probably loaned ourselves some money to possibly address it at a cheaper price 3 or 4 years ago. But this is going on longer than the road hotel. One of the thoughts that someone shared with me is that maybe we could apply for an enterprise fund based on through the government and have somebody write this up, maybe ask Mr. Coletto if he's got any background in that from the planning commission, but we should be able to find some money to address something that has been very unfair for those residents on Finnegan Lane.
Thank you. Gino, you've answered that one already. Yes. Okay. Next question, please. Over on this side. Yep.
As a city council member, what do you do to bring entrepreneurship and new business to the city of Angel in order to create jobs and tax base?
Before I start with this one, please.
I was involved in the first economic. I don't think Gino wants me to talk. I was involved with the first economic development company in Calaveras County, for the county, in 1983. And we started to look at those kinds of things. Unfortunately, I ended up going to work with the state school agent, unfortunately, I went to work with the state as a parole agent and didn't get involved with it. But as I said earlier, I've been talking with Larry Cope, who is just an amazing guy as the economic development director for Columbia County. I also have touched base with the University of Pacific at their Everhart Business School, and they do forecast planning. And in some cases, for small municipalities like Angels Camp, they will do that pro bono. Their graduate school program and the professors and their associates do that kind of forecasting. And so I've been in touch with them and been in touch with Mr. Michaels, the director, and hoping to get some answers here in the next couple of weeks on how we can proceed here in the city to bring businesses back into the city. We have 39 empty storefront commercial properties in the 2-mile stretch of Angels Camp, from Angels Inn on one end out to Forest on the other end. We need to do something, and we need to do something now in order to get this going and to get some of the businesses to come back. And I think that we may need to look at water rates, commercial water rates and sewer rates to see, in some cases, they get so expensive for entrepreneurs that they have to close their businesses. So I will once again tirelessly work to see what we can do about that. I'm a person that gets up at 4 a.m. every morning and gets moving to see what kinds of things can be worked out. And so I will work to do that if I'm elected. Thank you.
Good question from back there. What do we do about getting entrepreneurial businesses going in our city? I don't know whether you had the opportunity to attend a 2-day conference a year and a half ago on economic development for Calaveras County. That was very, very well attended. At the end of that conference, there were all kinds of reports prepared. That is a replicate of a similar conference that had been done in prior years. One of the key things that's missing, and that is not missing in Tuolumne County, is the county of Tuolumne stepped forward and said, we're going to pick and assign one person full-time every day to be working on not only economic development, but business retention. In the city of Angels, and throughout the county, a business goes away, there's no idea of why that business, there's no analysis or investigation. Why? Because there's no staff person following that and tracking that. Or when they hear about something, a possible business, there's a person there full-time that's going to go out and do some recruiting. That really needs to be done in our county. And I know within the city council that will receive support. So any of you have an opportunity to promote that at the county level, please speak up. Speak up at the county board of supervisors. Why aren't you doing the same thing that was done down in Tuolumne County? And it's a joint group between the county and the city of Sonoma. And I know that our city council will give it support. Good question.
Mr. Jackson, two of us.
Well, there's a couple things I think we can do. One thing that we have played for us is the branding leadership team. That's something that the council adopted to push forward with. That's something we need to support and push forward with. That's a pretty good plan if we keep going with it. The next thing is, Jack, I don't want to piggyback too much on what Jack said, an economic development plan to create more jobs, create sales tax, more businesses. Besides that, I mean, just you were right, we have a lot of these storefronts that need, and we don't need any help, so. But the first thing again, I would say, I would repeat myself here, was the brand leadership. Push that, get that goal. Spend a lot of money, spend the dollar that.
Thank you, Steve.
In part of your question, are you interested in trying to identify why some businesses are failing, along with trying to also stimulate new businesses? Okay, I think that we have a perfect situation here. We have ACWA and we have the Chamber of Commerce, and every year the City Council donates $1,000 to the Chamber of Commerce so they can go to an economic council, Calaveras County Economic Council. And they've asked in the last couple of years to get an action plan back, so there's something tangible that they can see for this $1,000 they give. And I was thinking that possibly the Chamber of Commerce and ACWA could get together and develop a survey that they could distribute to the existing businesses here in town, so they could illuminate the difficulties they're having making ends meet and keeping the doors open, and possibly initiate a response to some of the people who have closed their businesses. But to be very candid, it's not going to be an easy thing to rectify because of the state of the economy and the unknowns that we may be faced with. I don't think this bypass was a compliment to the existing businesses. You have a family full of children coming up from the Bay Area, and they stop at a signal at 4:49. They do not see the restaurants that are to the south of them. The kids are hungry, and now they're going to see the McDonald's, and that's probably going to be the first place they're going to go to. So you've got to look with the decision made of in the past about the necessity of this bypass and how it's affecting our downtown. And I think it would be a great partnership for ACWA and Chamber of Commerce to try to do something to complement the request.
Thank you. Gino.
Would you repeat the question, please?
As a city council member, what would you do to encourage entrepreneurship and business that will create tax base?
Okay. So one thing would be what we've already talked about, the big box store or whatever size it is. If something like that were brought into town, it would create jobs, it would create tax revenue, it would do a lot of things. And I also agree with Stuart on the branding leadership team. I met with Ann Forrest last week, and we talked about the schedule and what they've accomplished so far, and actually they've accomplished quite a bit. That's an effort that we've got to keep pushing. It's going to change Angels Camp for the better for everyone, and I think that will be our main focus for the future.
Thank you. Can I have another question, please? Bob?
I'd like to ask your view of the importance of the museum in this town, and I'm asking this question in light of the event that we just had this weekend, and it brought a lot of people, TOT tax, wine gas, meals, and so forth, had a lot of publicity, including being written up today in USA Today. What is your view of the importance of the museum?
The question was, what is the importance of the museum? And Jack?
In my past life, I was a docent in 2 different museums, and one was in Southern California, and the other one was the Inland Empire. Both of those museums were so important to economic activities in both of those cities. And one of the favorable things that I see here at Angels Camp is the wisdom of past councils to go after grants and build a carriage house which has a display par excellence of carriages. So the assets and the facilities are there. The new development is to bring in Mark Twain, and we now have a Mark Twain exhibit. It's the only exhibit in the state of California recognizing Mark Twain in any state museum. And we saw this past weekend people coming from all over to come to Angels Camp to experience our museum, experience Mark Twain heritage, where he started his whole career right here in our city. And so, as far as I'm concerned, it's a super attraction. The sprucing up of the museum, the removal of old fencing, painting of exhibits, display of exhibits, and the support given to the museum by the city council has helped it grow, and there's more opportunity for further growth. So it is extremely important, in my opinion.
Thank you, Stuart.
Extremely important. It's another draw to our city. Just like you said, when you get in that museum, and you start looking at things and reading things, and pretty soon it's late afternoon. Get a family with kids, they can just stay with them. And increases that. Yeah, that's very important. It's just like any other business. It's actually, we have to say it's not a business, but it is a business. It's all a business. But yeah, I fully support your museum.
Well, along with some of the negative things that we've got addressed tonight, it's great to have something that we can talk about that's been so positive. It was fun working as a volunteer at the museum. Even though I don't like heights, you got me up to the highest point of pain. But it's something that we should really be proud of. And one of the things that we haven't addressed tonight is the responsibility that we have to restore the history of the gold rush. And I don't think enough people know that. The numbers have just risen since the remodeling has been finished, and people from all over the United States are coming here to see firsthand and experience what it was like. We all leave our state, we go to Philadelphia and to Boston, and we walk the Freedom Trail. We want to experience that part of our history. And we have such an exceptional positive here that I can't find anybody would find fault with that accomplishment. So, well done, well done.
Machida, please.
I think the museum is great. Has everybody been there? If you haven't, do yourself a favor and go see it. The carriages are incredible. What's there, all the history of the area is there. And we just want to keep it there and support it. Thanks.
I've volunteered there a few times, and I think it's a wonderful museum. I think in part, it's a wonderful museum because Bob Rogers, who asked the question, came here 3 years ago and was hired by the city council to put this museum on the map. And he's more than done that. And he also was instrumental in bringing the Mark Twain Mother Road Festival. He was on the steering committee. He was one of 5 Bobs of the 8 people. The other 3 Bobs were Jim Bob, Darrell Bob, and I forget the third one. But anyway, it was an incredible festival, 3 days, Friday night at the theater with the play of Laura and Sam, and the matinee in the afternoon on Saturday. Saturday morning, the symposium was incredible. Ron Powers was a Pulitzer Prize winner for his biography of Mark Twain, and also the other folks that were there at the symposium. It was just an incredible 2.5 hours. And then the gala dinner. I mean, it was just, right down to gold coins with beautiful table settings, and waiters and waitresses in tuxedos with wet gloves. It was just an incredible experience. And if you didn't get to go this year, by all means, come back next year, because it's what the volunteers did in this town, and the idea by Ralph Aldrich, the publisher of the Colorado Enterprise, and Buzz Ableton, the editor, to come up with this idea and bring it here. I mean, we were the first to sell the autobiography of Mark Twain, the book, 770 pages. It doesn't go on the market to the rest of the people in the United States until November 15th, and worldwide, December 15th. So here we are in Angel's Camp, where it all started. And I thank you, Bob, for all that you have done for this city. And I thank the Visitor Center, because daily they have sent people that have come there and said, where can we go and see things? And they always tell the folks, you go to the museum, you have a great, outstanding museum. Thank you.
Now, another question from this side, and then we'll go to the other side. Man with the white shirt down there. Okay? Clarence?
Thank you, Bob. And thank you all for coming here tonight. I have 3 comments that aren't so much a question, but you're welcome to have some time. One is, I thought that the Brown Act was done right to keep politicians from meeting separately and making their own plans for the agenda. And I would be happy to hear your comments. That's good. If you can get more, then please do that. I'd also like to compliment Jack on his tenure as city council and mayor. Jack, you're the kind of people that I found it fun to work with. I was a banker up here for 30 years, and I know a lot about economic development. And it's so intertwined with people, and jobs, and attitudes. We have a lot of people in this county for a lot of years that we're already in business here that fought competition coming in. I still say today that roughly half the people in this county don't want growth. And I think we need to help them to understand that we need the revenues from sales tax, and we need people, and we need jobs, and they're so intertwined. I've not seen any concerted effort, even from the EDC. I was the guy that was the EDC back in this county. So I really don't know what I'm saying. But we need a program to help people understand that they don't want to see so much welfare, if they want the sewer pipe fixed, which has been unfixed for years, is that the sewer pipe's been around for, I don't even know how many years. And we do have, as I understand, we have some old decaying sewer pipe underground in downtown. Anyway, take any part of that you like. And thank you again.
Do you have any questions on any of that, Clarence?
I do, but I try to keep it short.
Okay.
All I have to say,
Quick comment.
the only comment, the part that we've already talked about is the economic development, and I agree with you on that. You're probably right. I'm a native here, I'm born and raised here, and I think you are right. There's a lot of people in this county that try to hold down development, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. As far as the Brown Act, I'm studying it. That's all I'm saying.
We'll have questions on that later.
I just want to thank you for your comments. I don't think I can add any strategies to it.
Gino?
I have no comments made on this.
George?
Clarence, I want to thank you for all you've done for this county in the past 30 years. I remember when you arrived in town over 30 years ago, and you've done a lot in this county, in this town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Jack?
Again, I think the key ingredient that's missing in our county, and has been talked about since the 1990s, probably even before, is a concerted economic development activity sustained by at least, as Larry Busby down in Sonora would say, at least 1.5 full-time people. And you need it all the time, and until the county, and we'll get assistance from the city, but you need leadership at the county level. We need that to start. So I would say as a council, we probably have an obligation to beat the drums for that, and we can pass these kinds of observations on from tonight. But it needs to at the county level, just as we've seen. But thank you, Clarence, for the comments.
Thank you. Now, down by the bar area, does anybody have any questions? Yes, right there, the lights are pretty bright, so straight in front of me. Stand up. Yes. Jerry, tell us.
I've heard several different things about the economic development, Veronica's question. I know the branding committee has spent a lot of time and effort in really trying to bring about tourism and the different elements, the base camp here in Angels Camp. And I would like to know from each of the candidates how you guys would use that. All that work that's been done, how can you really use that to improve on our tourism and what we're going to bring here to Angels?
Well,
Okay, actually, I hate to do this today, but Steve is speaking first on this stuff. Got to keep it the right way.
Well, I don't think I'm in complete agreement about the accomplishments of the branding situation up to this point. I think they've got a plan that has yet to be fully identified, and I personally haven't had the time to look into it as much as some of the other things that I consider a priority. But I certainly would support any kind of input from the Chamber of Commerce or the branding or ACWA in any way that's going to be a positive reaction to accomplishing what we've all talked about tonight, and that's complementing economic growth, you know. But I see a lot of advertisement, I see a lot of coffee cups, keychains, and some duplication from the business center. But I've yet to really be able to sink my teeth into a really definable plan that has even started to address some of the concerns that the course of Pat and I about economic growth.
Okay, Gino, now you get to talk.
So again, as I talked earlier about the branding team, I know we haven't seen a lot of results published yet, but they've done an awful lot of work behind the lines, and I think, Ann, we need to get that published somehow, get it out in newsprint so people can read it or online. There's a tremendous amount of work that's been accomplished. It just doesn't show yet. So that's what we need to keep pushing as a branding team for economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, George, please.
Yeah, and I want to thank you personally. You have been the leader in this area, and I have in the past gone to many of the branding meetings and listened at the most recent meeting along with Gino, and they are doing a lot of great things. And it takes time. You know, it's like the pyramid. You know, you only see the first few stones, and you don't really get to see those because of sand dunes are in the way. But as it goes on, the group that's going to be branding group, the ideas that they come up with and the kinds of things that have already transpired, like the big activity that they have at Bear Valley, and all of the people that came and stayed in hotels, pay TOT tax and what have you. We just have to be patient and see that this continues to move. And I'm a firm believer in it, and I support it wholeheartedly.
Branding is basically a program under the guidance and leadership of the merchants. It needs support from the city and the county, but it is a merchant's effort to get focused in a brand that will attract visitors to come and stay in our area. And it has received good financial support from the city in the past. We are into some difficult, challenging times right now, but the sentiment and the strength of the city council is supportive of it. And but the focus has got to be with the merchants.
Stuart.
Again, as I stated earlier, I fully support the branding of the city. I sat down with Ann and I talked, and she's still in on what they're doing. We don't have an economic development plan right now, so that brand leadership team is all we have. So we need to support that, go with it, push it, help it along. Anybody that has any questions on that, I think should ask Ann. She can fill you in on it. Very well fill you in on it. And it's, there's a lot of brands and stuff that they're working on. I think in the next couple of years, you're going to see everything start to roll out. So all the work they've done will start to roll out here within the next couple of years. Downtown, the Beauty Hotel, that's one of the first things that's going to roll out. So I fully support the brand leadership.
Thank you. And now a question from this side of the room? Anybody? Stand up, please, if you have one. Bill? Okay, red hat.
Tonight we discussed,
Can you please stand up so we can...
tonight we discussed the investment protocol, and there have been a lot of good ideas of how to generate revenue, but realistically, most of those aren't going to happen for any time in the near future. We did talk about one budget cut, and that was the police department, and before we ended up the fire department. Assuming that we need to budget the ballot, what things might still be on the table to be cut from the budget?
Okay, Gino will be first. What the question was is, he feels that all the economic discussion we've had tonight is a long-range plan. What do you see that we can do right now to help the budget? Is that correct? What cuts can we take right now?
That information I haven't yet been privy to. if elected, I certainly would look into that. I don't feel that we should be cutting police or fire costs because of the valuable service they provide to Angels Camp. But I don't have an answer for you.
The city council obviously is struggling with this. The county was the first to approve their budget this year, then the state last week, and now we're 110 days into the city's budget of 2010 and 2011. It's not an easy, solvable situation. I think that the council members in the preliminary budget hearings requested that all departments cut, correct me if I'm wrong, about 17% off of their proposed budget for this year. That's all right. Yeah, and so that's been done. And then you have to, unfortunately, you have to start looking at all the line items in all the different areas and see what you can cut there. And then the most expensive is payroll, no matter where it is, whether you're in private enterprise or whether you're in the public sector. And so, I'm reluctant to do that kind of thing, especially in this economy. And I just think that we need to see where we can make some additional cuts in the line items.
Jack, please. As a council member, I've seen this up very, very close. We started off with a $1 million shortfall in our revenue in my introductory comments. We're right now to the point where we have, as a result of job combinations, job eliminations, position eliminations, scrutinizing our cost structures in the city, etc., we recovered $600,000 of that amount. We still have $400,000 to go. We're in the midst of discussions with our various employee units, and it's painful because we're looking at the same kind of thing that happened at the county is happening at the state. They're looking for contributions from our employees, and it does not come easily. It's difficult for council members. It's also difficult on our staff. I'm personally very concerned about maintaining morale, but we do have jobs available, and that's a plus that we now have to get to balance. We've got $400,000 more to go, and within the next few weeks, we'll be able to come to the complete story. The negotiations, of course, are confidential, but we're in the midst of them right now. Once those are established, then we'll be able to publish a budget for this year.
Sure, please.
Okay, I don't know, there's probably a lot of you here looking for budget. It's a booklet about that big. I've looked through that, and I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I'm going to cut a certain place, but I've seen places in there that I think we can cut. So until I get elected and I'm on there, then it'll be time to act and slack. I heard the city council say that they've given up a lot of concessions. They've asked employees to give up concessions. One thing that I would ask this council, and I pledge to give up my second if I'm elected. So I'll be the first to give up the $3,600 that I would gain a year for my term. So if you add that up, that would be $3,600, $15,000. It would go back into the general fund. That's a pretty good start. I think we can look at. I'm not going to lie to you. There's things I'm looking at that I can't turn around and say, I'm going to cut fishing fund, and I don't. and you're going to say there's other politicians standing up there talking about it. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to answer your question directly, Jake. The city has cut $450,000 in compensation up to this point. They eliminated $185,000 for police chiefs and run it down to about a little $80,000. They eliminated $183,000 from the city administrator. They are paying out an interim city administrator $110,000 at will, no benefits. He's also very motivated to stay on here for 2 5-year terms and give us standards of his expertise. They've taken the wastewater department head, $144,000, eliminated her, gave half her job to the city administrative part, and let Garrett, with a small increase, take over responsibilities that we were paying. They've eliminated the enforcement officer to the tune of $22,000 and added it on to Steve Fly's job as part of the planning department. They eliminated the fire chief at $12,000 because the new city administrator is qualified to be a fire chief. He's got a background. So when I told you earlier about how the city council and the momentum that they created the last year and what I want to compliment, they're working on these things. I have brought forward very, very serious concerns 5 or 6 years ago. When are we going to determine when we need a full-time city engineer or consultant? Does anybody know what we paid the city engineer for the 2009-2010 fiscal year? Huh? All right, to the engineering company, we paid $419,000. And we paid another $761,000 to outside consultants. We spent $1,080,000 on the city of engineering for a town that's had maybe 2 permits for new homes and an economy that has stagnated for the last 18 months. And there's room there to make improvements to bring this deficit down right there.
Thank you. One last question, there's a gentleman over there, Terry.
On South Main Street by the visitors center, there's 2 big billboard signs, and I think further down by the power gas station, there's 2 more billboard signs. Do you think that those are eyesores, and is there a law that can be passed to take them down? And linked to that question is, by the visitors center, is there a way to expand the parking there, the free parking, so tourists can drive in and park there and walk the streets of
I'll repeat the question, tell me if I have it right. The 2 billboards that are next to the visitor center, on the left-hand side coming this way, you think those are needed? And the parking lot next to the visitor center, the empty lot, you're thinking about getting that repaved? Is that what your question is?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. George?
Parking lot, or that piece of ground that's next to the visitor center parking lot, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, but I think that's in private ownership, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you, Lisa. The signs, I appreciate your concern about the signs, but we've got a really bleeding budget, and I would really like to see, I would really like to be focusing my attention at this point in time on the budget. And think about the signing process for the future. Thank you.
My response to the signs is that yes, some may regard as eyesore, others may regard it as very good promotional opportunity for business coming through our city. With respect to additional downtown parking, as you probably noticed, we have repaved 2 of the parking lots and restriped them. You'll see the city council paying more attention to developing better signage downtown so that visitors to our community will see off-street parking. And we do have a lot of off-street parking, particularly so-called raspberry parking area, which is not utilized at all. But as a city council, we recognize we need better signage. Hopefully, people will be more drawn to the improvements that are now just made in the condition of the pavements of existing parking lots. But thanks for your interest in the downtown area, too.
I think the question on the paving that parking lot was solved, right? That's private ground, so I don't know how that would be paved unless the owner would pave that. As far as the signs, I'm not so sure I would want to take those signs down. Maybe if they were improved and cleaned up, where we could use them a little more. I've seen a lot of advertisements on those signs over the years. And I can remember when they were in real good shape, but I would have to say that I think it's still taking them down, but we get them cleaned up and make them a little more presentable.
Once again, I really can't consider the signs as a priority right now. But in parking, because I haven't been sleeping very well the last week, thinking about this event tonight, I was wondering potentially if at some time in the future we could buy the building that the Goodwill Center is in, right next to the parking lot down there, and possibly expand our parking, especially with the hotel room that we developed. Somebody's got to make a sacrifice, and parking has got to complement the regrowth of the historic district, and probably have enough. So some of that would be exploratory, and I would diligently exhaust investigating remedies to your question.
The parking has been a real issue in town. A couple of years ago, I was looking at Mr. Wilmer's hotel, renovating part of it. What I wanted to do is put a music venue in the basement and start that going. That would have been economic development. And I drew up a plan for the parking lot, using the first third of it off the street to develop a park for people to just sit in and enjoy the downtown. It's got a lovely rock wall on the building, right next to it, and having the city buy the building and convert it to parking. This would have more than compensated for the development of the park in the front. And as far as the billboards, I see them every time I go to the post office. They don't really bother me that much.
And give us your final comments, please.
Okay, I'm Gino Lecker. I live here in Greenhall. And what we really need is economic development in Eagles Camp. Everyone is suffering right now, not only businesses, but myself personally. And I will do whatever I can to generate new businesses in town, especially the downtown area. And again, I think the branding team is important there because they already have a plan. We have some grants already working, and you'll start to see these things happening soon. Thank you.
My birth name is George C. Fry Jr., but I go by George Fry. Over here on the table to my left, I've left some information things. My basic campaign statement, which is 1 page in the way. My resume, so that you can really know about me. I have a list of about 11 or 12 issues that I believe are of most importance, and they're on the table over here to my left. And is branding leadership, I've never really checked it. Is it on the Angels Camp website? Okay, so for you folks that aren't aware of that, and now I am totally aware of it, go to the Angels Camp, angelscamp.gov, and you'll pick up the website, and you can see what's going on. There's some pretty important meetings coming up here in the next couple of weeks and through November. And the more people we can get involved in this, hopefully, the more ideas we will be able to generate and get this moving along. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, George. Jack, please.
My name is Jack Lynch, and I'm running for city council, and I'd like very much for you to vote for me. I'd like to talk about a couple of other things that are very, very important to me during the 4 years that I've been on the council. The first one has to do with open meetings. One of the things that I've championed all the time that I've been on the council is that people come forward and speak to the council, they're treated with respect, and they have an opportunity to ask their questions. Further than that, for over the last 3.5, 4 years, we've now put all of our agendas on our website. All of the minutes of the past meetings are on the website. Our city budget is on the website. The city audit is on the website. Everything that you need to know about our city, including on several occasions, you'll have multiple pages of documents that are got to be read and looked at in order for the council to vote on. Those are also on our website. So the individual knows completely what the council is looking at, what we're voting on, and can follow it. As a result of that, we've also decided to add a video of all of our council meetings. And those of you that have cable can watch our city council meetings. Any of you that would like to have a video of a particular council meeting can obtain it at the city council. So we've opened the whole business of our city business up for the public to see. We have also worked at, is the light on already? Only just started. But anyway, I think you get the pitch from how I feel about respect for the public. I have brought a lot of knowledge to the position, but I've also learned a lot about the city. I know its finances, I know its strengths and weaknesses, I know a lot about our people and our facilities. I'm ready to continue another 4 years on the council and representing you, and hopefully you'll cast a ballot in my favor. Thank you very much.
Okay, there's a lot of pretty eyes out there. I'm going to make it short and sweet. My name is Stuart Badjo. Again, if elected, it will be a privilege to serve you. I'll do the best I can, and I'd appreciate your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
My name is Steve DeHue, and I'm also running the city council. I was raised by 5 uncles, and I lost my dad when I was 5.5. And one of the things they instilled in me was to stand up for injustices and abuse of authority and power. And once again, I want to relate to where we're at with the city council today too, where you've got a city council working for you folks. One of the most encouraging things about this evening is to see this participation. It gives me a chance to make a suggestion to all of you. When I was raising a family of 3, I didn't have the flexibility working 12, 14 hours to go to a city council meeting. But today, you folks have a tool that is unbelievable. There's 2 city council meetings a month. You can pull up the city website, get the agenda, without interfering in your personal schedule, email me as your new city council person, and with whatever is interest in that agenda that you would like the city council to be aware of. And continue what you're doing tonight. Get involved by supporting your city and its future. If I can get the privilege of your votes to lead the city for the next 4 years, I will do just what I've done for the last 67 years. Meet that challenge head on. Thank you.
Thank you. In closing, as I say every month, shop locally, support our merchants in the area here. And it's a great pleasure to have ACCA as your host tonight to bring these 5 gentlemen up here and tell their side of the story. I think we learned a lot tonight, got a little humor. Nobody walked out, which was great. And I want to thank my board that's here, if they can just stand for a minute. The ACCA board, I know you're all around the room. Linda, she's there. Thank you very much. And pick up your sheriff's card on the way out and help ACCA. Thank you very much. Thank you.